Now this is a great technique if you want a really quick balance of levels in your mix. So you can use it wherever you are throughout the mixing process. You can use it when you begin, before you've done any processing whatsoever and you just want to get those levels about right. Or you can use it halfway through if you've kind of you've lost a bit of objectivity. Or you can use it right at the end. You can take everything back down to zero and then use this technique to give you a really good idea about what the balance should be. And I'm going to show you exactly how we can do this with the song that we were mixing through in the last module. If you're using the provided stems, awesome. If you're using your own stems, even better. And what this technique is basically using something called pink noise to reference our mix against. So pink noise is an audio signal that has got the same audible power in all of the frequencies. And what that means is that every octave of the frequency range sounds the same volume to our ears as the octave below or above it. And pink noise sounds like this. And this is the kind of balance that a lot of commercial music has. Yes, it varies slightly, but this is generally in the ballpark of the different volumes of the different frequencies throughout a professional mix. Now, I will stress that using this technique is a great jumping off point. It probably won't give you an absolutely perfect balance of levels, but it's going to be so close that a few simple tweaks here and there, judging with your ear, is going to be a lot easier than starting from ground zero. So let's hop into the DAW and get it done. Okay, so I've zoomed out a bit in Ableton so we can see more tracks. And let me just quickly show you what the pink noise looks like in terms of spectrum frequency range. Just do it over a long range. And you can see there's this very smooth slope from bass frequencies all the way up to high frequencies, and it sounds horrible to listen to, but I'll show you how we use that to reference our mix. So here's our mix. Now here's a tip. I've put the pink noise down to -18 on my fader here, so it's peaking at -18, and that's going to ensure that when we've brought everything up against the reference, it's not too loud, we've got plenty of headroom. So firstly, let's bring all of the tracks down to zero, bring them all down, and it's worth saving a copy of your project before you do this in case you don't like the results. On all of the groups and all of the buses, make sure they are set to zero, and this is because when you're bringing up the separate elements within each group, like here for instance, if we put the synth to zero, these two different synthesizers are in that group, and if that's set to zero and we try bringing them up, we're not going to hear anything. So make sure that all of your groups and buses are set to zero, or whatever the equivalent is in the DAW that you are using. So backing vocals, that's a group, put that to zero. And you can do all this in mono as well if you like, just to make sure that you're not getting confused by stereo signal and you're just concentrating on the levels. And drums, zero. And this is another good reason to do volume automation with gain plugins, so that when you come to tweaking the levels on the mixer, it's not changing it back to whatever your automation program was. So here we've got all of the tracks taken down to infinite, just right to the bottom of all the faders, apart from the buses and the groups, which are currently on zero. So when we press play, all we can hear is the pink noise. And this is simple. All we need to do is reference that pink noise against every track and slowly bring them in, soloing the track we're bringing in with the pink noise. So first let's do the kick. Solo the pink noise and the kick, and start to bring it up until you can just hear the kick under the pink noise. And then you go on to the next, which would be the drums, and we'll go through each of those in. And you just bring them up till they're just about audible. And some of them, of course, only play at certain parts, and we're looping the busiest part of the song for this. So you can just hear that coming in. and I'll quickly fast forward through every single track in this rather than boring you with it. But we're just bringing up every track in order, comparing it to the pink noise until you can just hear it underneath the pink noise. Now the tracks I wouldn't really do this with would be the auxiliary channels like the reverbs and the delays, and especially not the parallel compression channel. I do that afterwards and just do that to ear, because the results just aren't that great if you're doing it, especially with the parallel compression. So here we are, this is our result. So as you can hear, it's a slightly different result than if we do the top-down mixing technique, but if you get stuck, if you need a bit of objectivity about levels, then the pink noise technique can be a great place to start. But don't forget to duplicate the project you're working on first to make sure that if you want to revert to your other level settings, you can do so really quickly and really easily.